Hello, everybody, and welcome back. And just as a quick warning right now, if I sound groggy and tired, it's because I'm recording this at midnight. It will be coming out on Christmas Day. I'm going to make sure of that. But I am recording this at midnight on Thursday, so yeah. This is the only time I'll have to record it. Might be what you're asking, because I'm gonna be traveling for Christmas and I don't have time to do it until then, and I don't want to record in a hotel because that's a whole thing, you know. So let's get into the bioaccurate Graboid. Now, from the whole little group I'm in, like Danny23H, Eddie Inc., Dino Den, Metrio Genetics, who's actually gave me the idea for this, I'm definitely probably the worst geneticist out of all of these guys. I kind of just go for sheer power without thinking of consequences. So this was probably not my place to do it, but I did it anyway, so we're just going to have to live with this bioaccurate Graboid. So I didn't actually remember how to specifically do a bioaccurate anything, so I had to go back. I watched Go G Center's video on this, on the El Gran Maha to be specific. And yeah, I think I have done something decent for it. So, for this video, there's going to be 3 main sections. I'm going to be talking about how I was trying to find a proper species to base to get the bioaccurate Graboid. I'm going to be talking about how the base species evolved into the bioaccurate Graboid, and I'm going to talk about how the bioaccurate Graboid would live. So let's get into the first part. Now, for the first section, finding a base animal to evolve into a Graboid. This was the most difficult part for me to do. There are so many decent animals that you could use for this, and I couldn't find one that would work. Now, there's a problem with this, though, that you can't make a Graboid. You cannot evolve an animal into being Graboid perfectly with modern day animals. That wouldn't just become straight up a Graboid. You can't just do that, since the Graboids have a weird life cycle. First, it starts with an egg, which hatches into a dirt dragon, which are the little guys in the 4th movie, and then those grow into the Graboids themselves, which then give birth to about 2-3-ish streakers, which after a bit of growing, they will turn into, I'm going to use mildly Mesozoic terms here because I don't want to swear on this. They turn into blastomorphs, which are the flying ones. And there's no good animal to do that. There's a bunch of animals that do have metamorphosis, but not in 3 stages for sure, because it's just a very odd way of an animal doing that. It's somewhat weird that the supposed first stage gives birth to multiple other creatures. It's a very odd thing. So there was no one good thing to do that, so I just went with something else. I decided to, instead of making having to try and figure out how to make not only a bioaccurate Graboid, but also a bioaccurate creature and Blastomorph, which would be incredibly difficult with their numerous abilities, I decided that I would just do Graboid instead. Just Graboid, nothing else. If you do want to do your own bioaccurate Graboid, I say that it would be best if you were to choose, like doing it with multiple stages. I think it'd be best to choose animals that have somewhat of those abilities. Like one of my personal favorite animals, the Devil's Coach Horse Beetle. Sorry, I messed that up. I'm not re-recording that. It's one of my favorite animals ever since I've played Empires of the Undergrowth. And honestly, if that's probably your best bet you're gonna get on making a Blastomorph bioaccurate. It has an acidic tail, which isn't quite like what the Blastomorphs have, but it has wings. It can somewhat glide at best. And yeah, but for making the base Graboid, I went through a lot. And when I say this, I mean a lot of animals. And I narrowed it down to two main ones. I mainly narrowed it down to bobbit worm, and as you can see from what it actually looks like and what actually got picked was centipede. I picked centipede because it was terrestrial, and you know, 3 out of the 4 types of graboids are mainly terrestrial, subterranean. Like, there's animals that burrow underground underwater. Those are different than the ones that burrow underground on land, primarily. There is an oceanic graboid, but those guys are way, way bigger than the other ones, and also they're still mostly like terrestrial subterranean. I don't know if that's an actual term, but it is now. So yeah, they can only island hop. They don't stay underwater for long periods of time. So yeah, centipede was the main one since it kind of fit the best. And I know that seems like an odd choice, but I will explain it in the next no, not in the next section, in the third section. Speaking of, let's get to the next section. So for this section, I'm going to be talking about how a centipede evolved into the bioaccurate graboid. Now, the way I did this, that you might not agree with how I did this, but yeah, I'm gonna say centipedes started preying on worms. That's how it worked. That's how they started. That's how they evolved. They started burrowing and became more and more subterranean. So a split off branch of centipedes started burrowing and found out that worms are decent sources of protein and food. So they would burrow and sift through the dirt trying to find worms to eat. Now they would still prey on other insects and stuff, but their main targets would be worms if they ever got the chance to, which they would start evolving to be able to move underground more fluidly. They'd evolve to be able to burrow more effectively. And now I'm going to talk about the next section, which is the final section, and that's going to be talking about the abilities that were adapted into this functional graboid. I know that last section was really short and kind of that was really the best way I could explain it. I didn't want to like drag that part out. This part, however, is probably the most interesting part. Now, again, like I said at the start, I'm definitely not the best geneticist on the whole of YouTube, and probably a lot of people could agree with me on that. I am definitely not one to think of congruency and stuff when it comes to my hybrids and other things. So this is probably going to be weird of how I decided to make this, but I hope that you can find what I did was actually decently good. And I don't know if I mentioned this. I'm pretty sure I did. No, I didn't, actually. That was the last take. The first take on the first part, this was actually not the original thing I was teasing with It's Worm in Time with the picture of the graboid. But thanks to Metro Genetics, this is what the video is now. Because that video I was teasing is still months in the making, and it will take a long time for me to finish that. But when I finish it, you guys will know, and I'll be very proud of it. I am very excited for you to see what I'm working on. And that little animation test, that has something to do with it. So, yeah. I want to check that out. Onyx is going to be in what I'm doing. So, yeah. Anyways, I have gotten way off track. Sorry about that. So let's go. The adaptations of the bioaccurate graboid. This guy was adapted to live underground. Shocker. The eyes have gotten smaller and much like out of the way, so it doesn't get like, even if they did see much, since they're completely useless at this point, even if they did see much, they'd get damaged as it burrowed and dug through the earth. The legs have become shorter and more stubby. Wait, what would be a good word for this? Like, no, stubby would be stubby would be the best word. They become shorter and more stubby so that it can easily burrow and move through the ground. And as you can see, those were probably those. I don't know why I said probably. I'm not retaking this. I'm sorry. This is like the Christmas video, and I don't feel like retaking it because it's midnight and I don't want to do this again. Those are meant to represent the little spike things that the graboids have, which they use to move through the dirt. And I thought that if the legs were shrunk down and more compact, they would be able to move easier without providing much drag that the centipede legs have. The centipede legs are much longer, so they're meant for climbing up stuff. These ones, however, are shorter and meant for, moving through the dirt more easily without providing so much drag that it's not energy efficient for them to be that long. The front forelegs have become like secondary, tertiary mandibles that they will pin down the worms and hold them down as they rip and eat the worms. The antennae were kept and somewhat shortened so that they can still trace down the little slime trails that the worms leave when they burrow. And the end spikes, like the last few legs that centipedes have, I kept those the same length. Since they will still be going after prey above ground, their main targets will just be like underground dwelling animals, like worms. But they can still go up, so we can keep some of that horror that Tremors kind of had of giant worms eating people from below. Though these guys are not nearly big enough to eat people, and they're not exactly super duper venomous, so they wouldn't be a danger to humans. It would still be very creepy if you stepped like you were walking through the forest and you just stepped and you felt something grab on your leg and you pull your foot up and you just see this thing. I would scream, dude. I'm realizing the horrors I've unleashed on this planet. Anyways, they would still be able to hunt things from that are above ground. Like, they wouldn't seek them out, but if they were given the chance, they would. I would imagine that these guys would, eat dead corpses. Like, say a wolf killed a deer, and once they were finished eating, they left, or even while they were eating, these little guys would just pop out of the ground and start eating from, like, below. If you've ever seen mealworms, like I have mealworms because I have a bearded dragon. I have to feed her constantly. We just have this like giant tank of mealworms. If you put like a potato in there, the mealworms will slowly drag down the potato into like the little wood chip oat things. That's how I imagine that would work. And yeah, those are the main adaptations I have for the Graboid. I got way off track. I am so sorry about that. But again, I'm not retaking, so you're gonna have to live with it. So yeah, that was the bioaccurate graboid that I made. If you would like to test your luck at this, see if you can do it better than I did, go right ahead. I don't need to give you an invitation. I'm just telling you, you probably should see if you can make this any better than I did. I'm really bad with these kinds of things, so I hope you guys can do something better than I did. Well, since this video will be coming out on Christmas, Merry Christmas, and I hope you get lots of things you would want from Santa Claus. This is Void, and I'm gonna be signing off until about January, so I can get out the video for the hybrid tournament. Yes, there's other things that I need to do. I need you to. I have a poll on my posts. Please go down until you find that poll. It is about my speculative Evo project that I'm also going to be working on. I want you to vote on that. It only has like 4 votes, and I need people's opinions on what I should do my speculative evolution planet on. Please, I need it. So there's a few projects. This is like the extra section. I'm gonna talk about my other projects. So worm thing. The Graboid thing. It is animation. You will like it. It's very different for this channel. Trust me. Speculative Evolution will be a series in about 2-3-ish weeks. I'm gonna once that poll is fully taken, I'm going to take the highest winner, and then that's what I'm gonna do my Spec Evo on. And yeah. So, I hope you all enjoyed. This is Void. I'm gonna sign off now. Unlike that other thing, I'm actually signing off this time. Bye-bye.